What's happening, everybody? Michael, Vintage Diesel Equipment Service. Today's video is going to be about tools. Whether you're a DIYer, maybe you're getting into servicing equipment, or maybe you just need to take care of your own stuff. I'm going to show you some of the things you're going to need to take care of those jobs. So give me just a moment and we're going to do just that. Alright, so don't be overwhelmed whenever you have a look at what I've got laid out. There's quite a bit, but we're going to go through all of it step by step and piece by piece. But before we do, how about you click that subscribe button just down there? Maybe the like, that notification bell. You sure would help a young channel to grow, and we'd sure appreciate it. All right, let's start over here on this side. One of the many things that you're going to wind up coming up, by the way, I'm going to give the credit to Damon on this, because just before he took a job in IT, and that's where he's at. I'm proud of him. Good job. He's doing really good. So, you know, I worked in IT for a long time, and I used to think I loved it until I got out of it and realized how stressful it was. But he recommended that I make a video. Sorry about the wind, y'all. All about tools. So let's walk you through it. First things first. One thing that you're going to encounter whenever you're dealing with equipment is snap rings. So one of the first things you're going to come across whenever you go looking for snap ring pliers, you're going to go into, you know, one of your cheaper tool places, and you're going to see on the shelf this pair here with these. Just don't. For a few dollars more at the same place, and it's carrying case. And by the way, so far I can say my review of the Icon snap ring pliers has been very good. I've used these quite a few times so far, and each time they've performed very, very well. I really can't complain about them. I've also used this pair quite a few times so far. So with that said, I can certainly recommend those. All right, so let's jump to wrenches first, or next should I say. Now what you're going to see is quite a few wrenches, and they're all different brands, but if you'll notice, they're all different wrench. Okay, so what I'm going to do is kind of lay these out in a way that sort of makes sense. This is a regular length wrench. Okay, this is long handled, short handled, and this one's really thin too. The advantage of this is sometimes whenever you're working on hydraulic hoses and such, you get in really tight spots, this can get there. Okay, we'll let this car go by. So like I was saying, this can really get in those tight spots. Now, many people have never saw an angle wrench, but let me just say, and I can say the Sunex brand was well worth the money off of Amazon. They've been really good wrenches, and I will be buying more of that brand. I really like them. They feel good in your hand, and they do the job well. But angled wrenches, I really don't know how to describe them, other than you're going to find spots where you can't get your open end on a hydraulic line or something in a position where it's at. This will let you get there. So, and that's what the angle wrench set looks like. Very well. Like I said, you can get that on Amazon. This in here, this was a Harbor Freight kit. I bought this because I really needed angle wrenches, and I wound up having to buy them anyway. But with that said, with that said, there's times where this has been the only thing that would work. Okay, so if you're out there doing this sort of work, you might find both of these kits are really what you're after. And in this business, you're going to wind up needing some big tools. So as you can see, I mean, this is only 1 3/4 inches. They get way bigger than this, but you should be prepared for that because you might encounter it. All right, let this vehicle go. The other thing you're going to need, you're going to need brake cleaner. Okay, you're going to need lots of it. I can tell you, you're going to need it all the time. And don't buy it by the can. Buy it by the case. You're going to save money, trust me. And they usually keep the expensive stuff out on the store floor, but if you'll tell them you're wanting it by the case and ask them, you can ask them for Johnson's like this, or see if they have a cheap case. They usually do. Okay, so when it comes to cleaning gaskets and things like this, I cannot recommend these Rolock bristle discs any more than I do. Okay, this is the small ones. I use these because they can really get into tight areas, and you'll see me use these with great frequency. They just go on to a drill head like this, and the rest is self-explanatory. And then whenever you're finished with that, the other thing you're going to need is emery cloth. Now if you'll notice, I've got 2 different grades. I've got 180 grit, okay, so whenever it doesn't have to be super smooth, and then I've got 320 grit when it does need to be super smooth and clean. Okay, the other thing you're going to want a pack of these little bristle brushes. Okay, you're going to use these a lot. And the other thing, get you a cleaning brush like this. I'd recommend too, one that you can keep clean all the time without solvents or anything on it, and then one that you use with solvents. It's really going to help your life out tremendously. Okay, so let's move on to some basic electrical stuff. Okay, whenever you're diagnosing any kind of electrical stuff, you're going to want test lights. Now you're going to need to be selective about your test light kits, because there's, well, you've got 6-volt tractors out there, you've got 12-volt, and then of course you've even got some 36 and 48-volt stuff out there. Okay, and when it comes to voltage, when you're needing to know what the voltage is to any one thing, other than just knowing you have power, knowing how much power, you are going to need a digital multimeter. You really want one that comes with accessories like clamps. Doesn't necessarily have to be by this brand. And also, a temperature probe is nice. Okay, always make sure to keep up with your book and everything, because unless you're like a rocket scientist, you're probably going to have to look up stuff as you're using your meter. Alright, I'm just going to set that stuff out of the way. Speaking of electrical, this, for you uninitiated, is a battery post cleaner. Okay, so you shove this part down on the battery post, give it the old twisty twist. Okay, and then the battery cable, you're going to shove this dude in there and give it the old twisty twist. Okay, so very, very good thing to have. Save you a lot of time whenever it comes to it too. Now let's say that you're working with 1/4-inch drive stuff, little small stuff, but you really don't have the room to get a ratchet in. These things are fantastic. They're directional. Okay, So you can set them forward and back, or you can just put them in the center where they'll turn either way for you. But the great part about these is you can use either sockets, okay, or you can use nut driver adapters on the other side, okay. So you can even use silly stuff like this when you just really got to get there, okay. So really, I really can't recommend these enough. Great things to have. The other thing, these two things are the same yet different, and I really can't tell you the scenario where you're going to want one over the other, but I can tell you whenever you get there, you're going to know it. But get you some bars that you can bang on. See that metal part right there? That means it's solid all the way through, and when you hit it, you're not going to split the handle off of it. Like I've got another bar in here that's done that way. And again, these heel bars, they're fantastic, and you'll find tons of uses for them. We're getting there, y'all. Alright, oil filter wrenches. Unlike the old round clamping type oil filter wrenches that tend to slip and they're hard to get on, these dudes, well, they're not hard, and they're expandable all the way up to big filters, okay? Now, when a filter is just flat too tight, when it's just flat too tight to be able to be done that way, what you're gonna want is a strap wrench, okay? Let's see if I can get you here. And this is a strap wrench, okay? So essentially, you're gonna slide it over your filter like this. You're gonna roll this up just like that, okay? You're gonna stick a 1/2-inch ratchet on it. Just as an example, you stick your 1/2-inch ratchet on it and turn, and boom, break your wrist. No. Turn your filter off. Trust me, you're gonna see times where you have to have that. All right. Now, long needle nose pliers. I cannot tell you how often I use these. I imagine every single day, okay? Also, the angled pair, again, I probably use these on every single job I work on. Now, let's say that when you go to remove a bolt or something, it all goes bad, okay? This is a broken bolt extractor set, okay? So you're gonna need a drill bit set. If you get a left-handed drill bit, you might not even have to get to this, but should you drill a hole, and it's going to tell you all the corresponding, well, I say it will, let's see. When you get you a set, and this icon set's done well for me, it's going to explain the how and when. If you would like me to do a demonstration on a broken bolt the next time I come across it and do a video for that, comment down below and we will see about doing that, okay? Let me get this put back together. This wind is really a pain today. Probably should have put the windsock on. I just didn't think about it. All right, this is a tap and die set. Say you mess the threads up on either the bolt, you would use these, or on the nut or block or whatever, you would use that set, okay? Very good thing to have. Probably something you're going to wind up needing, okay? Now I'm going to show you two different things here, and I might as well just throw you back on the tripod for these. All right, folks, so one of the next things you're probably going to need if you do any kind of engine assembly, transmissions, or anything that requires any kind of, you know, torquing to spec, is a torque wrench. Now, there's two types, and I'm going to show you both. One is the old click type, okay? This particular unit was my father's, and it does both foot-pounds as well as Newton meters. With that said, you're gonna crank this thing down to the torque spec that you need, lock the lock, and then torque it, and then whenever you're done, you always want to make sure you roll it back off to zero. Should you not, on the click type, you will cause irreparable damage long term to the spring, therefore destroying its calibration. We'll speak more about calibration in a moment. Your next type is the digital. It is fancy. It is everything that is except for this gives you both a visual as well as an audible identification that you've made it, and it verifies how much you actually went when you are done. This particular one, however, also does angles, which is actually the reason that I wound up purchasing it. Now, with that said, if you use your torque wrench with any great frequency, you should be having your torque wrench calibrated yearly, okay? Because what good is verifiable torque if the tool that you used isn't verifiable? So, with that said, that covers quite a few tools, many of which I'm sure you're all having to sit around and contemplate the expense of, or you're over there saying, I already got this, Mike. And in that case, way to go. Get out there and fix something. Because you know what? Ain't nobody else gonna do it for you, and if it was easy, everyone would be doing it. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was useful for you. And with that said, thanks for watching Vintage Diesel Equipment Service. We'll see you in the next one. Hey, it's fun.